Welcome back to another Overwatch Coach VOD review. So I'm going to be hitting you guys up with a few different VODs that have been sent to me. I got to sort them out, but I checked my email and I had a few waiting for me. So this is going to be the first one. And this is Anna. This is Plat 4. And let's see what they say here. Hey there, I am a Mercy main from Argentina who started playing in Overwatch 2. I play most of the support, so I have no trouble playing other characters when someone picks my main. That's good. My approach was to alt track and save my sleep darts for that, unless I was forced to use them. I'd like to know ways to further improve and position better, as I'm not very used to playing Doomfist or against Dive at all. Also, more Ana advice would be gladly appreciated. I'd love you to be as harsh as possible, as I would like to climb high up on the ladder, and unlike a lot of people, finding out my mistakes actually motivates me. Okay, well, that's cool. I had no idea anybody from Argentina was watching, so that's pretty cool. All right, so let's dig into it. All right, got my pen. So this is our Ana. We've got Mercy that can pocket both DPS. This is a good pick here. So your job is primarily to be healing Doomfist and then helping out with the DPS when appropriate. Otherwise, take your pot shots. Let's see what you're up against. So you do have a Kiriko on the other team, so you are going to have to be creative with your sleeps and your antis. So the thing that I find interesting in the Ana Kiriko dynamic, and what I mean by that is Ana against this Kiriko, is that so Kiriko can obviously cleanse the anti, but Ana's cooldown is quicker than Kiriko's cooldown, so you can land more antis than the Kiriko can cleanse. Now, the thing that I find in some of my higher level games, because I play a lot of Kiriko, is that a lot of times what the Ana will do when the fight's kind of even is they'll try to land a sleep to see if they'll force out the Kiriko cleanse. And then if I cleanse the sleep, then they'll throw the anti-nade down, and then we all are stuck with it. So one thing I would suggest in terms of Ana tips, and this is for like if a fight is even, consider trying to see if you can land a sleep dart in a 5v5, you know, when two teams are just head on head and no team's really given an inch, essentially. Sometimes you can force that cleanse out, and then you throw your anti-nade down, and then she won't have it. So that might be something to consider for an Ana tip that I've seen as a opposing Kiriko player. It's either that, or you don't force the cleanse out, and then you just got somebody slept, and if your team can either get the pick off of it, or, you know, they're just down a player while they're slept, kind of a thing. So something to consider. All right, so yeah, I mean, your guys' team comp is pretty solid. I don't really see anything overly wrong with it. It's fairly meta at the moment. You're going Doomfist against Doomfist. Enemy team's gonna have a Reaper, so they might have a little bit of they'll either have a stronger front line, or you'll just have to worry about a flanking Reaper once in a while. They're going to be divey, though, because of the Lucio. Lucio should be a clear-cut anti-target for you. An anti-Lucio is more often than not a dead Lucio, unless the aim is just really poor, and I mean that in the sense of the entire team, not necessarily just you. But I find when I play Lucio, when I get antied, I'm usually in trouble. I usually got to do like a full retreat, unless it could be map specific. But in a case like this map here, I would say full retreat if I get antied at Lucio. So let's dig into this here and see what we got, because I don't think I would suggest any other different heroes here, because there's no, there's not much to be cleansing from the other team other than and Ashe TNT. So I think Ana's perfectly fine here. The only other hero I'd maybe suggest would be Moira or Baptiste, I guess. But you know, I think that at this point, it's just who are you more comfortable on? And if it's Ana, that's more than fine. And I think Ana honestly gives your team more to work with, assuming you can land sleeps and antis and that kind of thing. So. Hold on, I accidentally clicked out. My frames started to drop a little. Okay, so yeah, maybe a little too early on that sleep dart. Maybe save that for a little bit more on the defensive side, like when you kind of get into a one-on-one situation with the Doomfist, or if the Lucio or somebody dives you. You were kind of all over the place there. I like the anti. So the one thing I would definitely suggest for your Ana, it feels like your mouse sensitivity is through the roof. And unless you are really used to that, I would lower it. Okay, your aim's starting to get a little bit better here, but... There you go, there's a good sleep. See, that's what I was talking about. Like, when you kind of get in those one-on-one situations, then you kind of use it. And that, I mean, that was like a weaker one-on-one situation, but it kind of fits. So one thing I might suggest here is to try to get out of that little corridor and start playing back around maybe like the back of the bus here. Or you could even go back a little further to here if you want a little bit more line of sight to that area, if you feel like you might get flanked if you were up here, which you might because there is a Reaper. And Soldier can sometimes go on little flanks too. So here might be good just to give you a little bit more perspective of the entirety of the team fight, because then you can always go over here to get to the other side, you know, that kind of a thing, versus what you've been doing of over here. So and a safe way to have done that would be to just walk over here, bust out those windows or jump over them and just drop down. Now it worked out, but if you find that you're not really getting the sight lines you want or need, that would have been something that probably would have been safe for you to do. The only thing is you probably would have been dove by the Doomfist, but you've shown that you're capable of sleeping the Doomfist. Your sleep dart accuracy isn't terrible, so I'd say you're a little too far forward right here. Yeah, you're playing a little too up right now. What I would suggest for here is go up these steps, heal about like right here. If you're right here, you've got great line of sight on everybody. You're out of the way. Nobody will be shooting at you, or you're going to only catch a few stray bullets here and there. And if somebody does really start landing shots, you can just retreat back to here, wait for heals, and then keep poking back out and that kind of a thing. And I feel like this platform up here, unless you get forced off of it, is a great spot for an Ana to play at when you're doing those initial fights. I feel like that would be a great spot for you here. Oh, that looked like you hit that. I don't know why. Heal your tank. Heal your Echo if you can. Yeah, so if the Lucio starts getting into your face, you're going to have to be able to punish him. So either saving your sleep darts for when somebody starts to dive you, be it the Doomfist or the Lucio, or you save your anti-nades. Because as I said from before, if you anti a Lucio, he's likely going to just go into full retreat or freak out or something. Especially if you land a shot or two from the gun after you land the anti. So if you find the Lucio becomes a problem. Some of that comes from positioning too, if Lucios start getting into your face a little bit more. Good, love to see the nano confirm. Ah, too bad. You might have landed that sleep dart like right before he landed. It's hard to tell if you would have or not, but either way it would have been a good one to hit. Yeah, so here again, you're playing kind of far forward. What I would suggest would probably be more along the lines of playing back here. I would be fine with you over in this area too, considering the kind of fights that you are encountering. If there's more like on the sniper side of things, playing over here probably not the best. You might be a little bit better off over here because there's more cover to kind of like poke out here, poke out there, kind of flip it around and keep the sniper guessing a bit. You know, 2 shots here, 1 shot there, hide for a second, shot there, 2 shots here again. You know, you come up with your own patterns on that one, but you know, that's if they're snipers, but you're not up against that. So playing either spot I think would be better because you're kind of far forward again here. You're frontlining a bit. Oh, nice sleep dart. That's a good sleep because that's a bad ult by the soldier, but because he's ulting and your tank isn't here, that's a good sleep dart because he might have been able to do some serious damage here. If he goes for the Mercy first and then you're not able to heal her, because then if he kills Mercy, then he goes for you, then he goes for Echo kind of a thing. Yeah, and Echo handled that perfectly.
How's it going?
Okay, so what I would say here is if it hasn't already been called out, tell the Echo and the Mercy to go off and do their own thing because this robot won't be moving any faster with 2 or 3 people around it. And then you push the robot. You're kind of going to be on robot push duty. I mean, there's going to be situations where maybe it'll be somebody else. But for right now, anyway, you would be the ideal robot pusher here. So, all right, now that we know that there's going to be a team fight right here, which if you're an experienced Overwatch player at this point, this would be predictable. Now that we know that this is going to be here, and the fight's basically going to be happening right at the robot, now you don't need to worry about pushing the robot because now the whole team's going to be there. So what I would prefer seeing you do is either go into here and shoot through the door, or if you'd prefer being up here, go up here. Oh, and there's a Reaper up here. So looks like you're about to get flanked and maybe Reaper ulted because he's pretty close to his ult. See how this gets handled. But see, if you went into that kind of positioning, you'd have seen that Reaper and you'd have been able to call it out or ping it. So that's something else to take in mind here, because if this Reaper ults, presses Q and takes the majority of you guys out, think about your positioning and how that might have changed had you have gone to one of those spots over there. Okay, we don't have a sleep dart now for the Reaper ult. Okay, so it happened, however, it was too late. By the time the Reaper got his ultimate, the Doomfist basically won the fight for them already. He should have honestly just held on to it. Which sucks for that Reaper because the play was there had he have just had like a little bit extra ult charge to him, but yeah.
One of these days I'll end up. We don't let them push any further.
So yeah, there again, like the mouse sensitivity is just like through the roof, and I think it's costing you these sleep darts.
Dusting off.
Like, see where that goes?
Dusting off.
You're aiming for here, you're hitting right there, and your mouse sensitivity is just like whoosh. You know what I mean? How are you expecting to hit that?
Seismic shot.
Good anti though, like the anti.
I've got you. أنا ما حدش يقدر عليا.
Alright, Ash gets a few kills and we're back on the offensive.
Robot is in our possession.
So, same principle again here. I think the fight is going to take place right where the last one did. So, right about right here, I would look to start taking that high ground off to the right and start getting your line of sight for the next team fight. That's going to be right basically where your barrier is.
This is your warning.
Hey, that was a good sleep dart. Kind of an easy one, but still. Easy one, you gotta be able to hit the easy ones too, so good job there. See, like that shot you took on the Doomfist, I feel like that's a shot you should have landed, and I felt like you missed it because of your mouse sensitivity. Yeah, heal up your Echo. Yeah, not much you can do about that.
I go out on my terms. Yeah. No. Nano boost is ready to deploy. You're powered up. Get in there. Enough whining. You're fine. Nano boost is ready to deploy. You're powered up. Get in there.
Okay, so you nano Doomfist. I think I nano Echo if I'm looking to nano here, and I don't know that I am looking to nano here. I think I would just start trying to heal that Echo and kind of gauge the fight first.
Enough whining. You're fine.
I mean, you guys won the fight, but I don't know if that wouldn't have just been won simply just from healing up Echo.
The gap narrows. Incoming.
Onwards to victory.
So yeah, you kind of like let's go back and rewatch this here. So the Ash needs healing. Ash still needs healing, and you tried to sleep. Like you should have just been scoped in on the Ash and just heal, because they just needed everything that they could get. They were in trouble. The other thing I would say is I still feel like you're playing too far forward because you started the fight like right around there, and then you just kind of backed up from there. Whereas if you would have just been playing back to maybe like where you're at roughly around this area from the beginning, you wouldn't be so worried about backing up and just more focused on doing your job of healing Echo and Ash in this case, because they're the ones taking all the damage. The Team 2's doing a good job, in my opinion, of not overly focusing on the tank and focusing more on the DPS. which I feel like is a bad habit in a lot of the games that I see where people are too focused on shooting at the tank and not the rest of everything else. And then all of a sudden, next thing you know, you've got all this damage, but nobody on your team's got any limbs. You've lost the team fight, and, you know, it's a bunch of zeros on the limb category, but you got a boatload of damage. And it's because both the healers were just beefing up the tank the whole time.
We need to put a stop to their push.
Okay, heal your Ramatra. Good sleep, good sleep. Heal your Ramatra.
Enough whining. You're fine. Child.
Nice sleep. That was a good one. Don't know if I wake him up with the anti. You had people surrounding him ready to do some damage to him. I probably would have waited. Or if you're on a microphone, count it down. Like, okay, throw in a nade in 3, 2, 1, and then everybody shoots at like 1, and then maybe, you know, that kind of a thing. You kind of like woke them up and they looked like they weren't quite ready to deal with him right away. Just something to do a little bit more on the coordination side of things. So yeah, that Ramatra ult fairly weak. Good for you not to nano that, because normally I preach everybody throw everything you got into the Ramatra when he's ulting, but that one he just wasn't around anybody. So that was a poor Ramatra ult. Like had he, like imagine him using it right now when everybody's around him, then that would have been the time to like nano the Ramatra and all that. So good job of showing. Oh, bad sleep there. So this is a team fight you guys need to win. So I'm not sure why you're holding nano here. When you're in these push scenarios, momentum is such a big deal, and you guys don't have any of it. Like, look at the scoreboard. It's 29-77 basically. And you guys have an opportunity here to actually start pushing and scoring some distance here. So I'm not sure why you don't, like, once the Ramatra got to, like, you know, like somewhere in this vicinity, like he would have been a good nano target there. Otherwise, nanoing one of the DPS and seeing if they could make a play, I feel like would be good here. Maybe if the Echo echoes the tank or another DPS, that could be a good time to nano as well. Maybe that's what you're waiting for. But honestly, I probably just nano the Ramatra once that team fight starts.
You're powered up. Get in there.
Okay, so my question is that the nano target you wanted? Because I kind of feel like you wanted to do it to the Echo, but it gave you Cassidy and you didn't cancel it and just gave it to him anyway. So I feel like that's what happened. Maybe you were trying to give it to him. I don't know, but if I were you, I would have either given it to the Ramatra or the Echo. One or the other.
There's no stopping me. Step right.
Stand up straight.
You don't know when to quit.
Yeah, I mean, once they're in your face like that, only so much you can do.
We are moving.
Lissa قدامي كتير.
They have taken the robot. A mistake they will come to regret.
I'll make quick work of them.
So what I would suggest here is try to group up in this room right there and just wait until you're all kind of back together.
I'm here. Keep fighting. They took him from us.
Taking flight.
So you're kind of too far forward already for an Anna. Where I would suggest for the moment would be like play either like right in here like this, or use this tree as a bit of cover and kind of, you know, go back and forth like this. Or you could even be like right here, just based off of where everybody is right now. But I feel like you're too far up at the moment.
Fixating on target. There you go. I'm under attack.
Now here's where push becomes interesting, right? Because like Team 2 doesn't really need to push the robot anymore because they've got a pretty good lead. But I would say if I were on Team 2, I would try to get the robot basically like right around the area you're standing at. That buys them like all of this to essentially die and respawn if they lose the fight. So they don't have to pick a very aggressive stance here. It would be beneficial for them to win a bit of distance, but they don't need much. Like, you guys obviously need a lot of it, so you guys are going to have to play pretty aggressive here. So that's why they're going to be playing kind of further back up here. So for you guys to try to take advantage of that, what I would even suggest doing here, now that I think about it, would be try to group up right around here and then come out around over here and contest this. I guess you'd call it the high ground. I guess there's a little bit higher high ground, but this, you know, this is pretty much the high ground, and try to contest it this way. And a great way to do that would be with a Lucio speed boost, although you would need the Mercy to do that. You wouldn't really want to be doing Lucio Mercy too much, but just throwing that out there as another idea. However, if they don't come down from there and just kind of keep the robot held in place, maybe never mind what I just said, because I expected at least their tank to kind of be holding the robot in place. Oh, their tank wasn't back yet. Okay. I thought they were all back for some reason.
Get going. That's
Nice sleep dart.
Meteor strike.
So the reason why you keep getting dove like this is because you're easy to find for the Doomfist. So like if you say, for example, we're playing that first spot I suggested, and you were back here, and then they start pushing the robot, you could potentially go up here, make sure nobody's shooting at you from back at that statue, and then you could be healing people from up here. And then as the robot starts to push, you could be in here. Now, if you're not shooting at the Doomfist, he might not know you're in here. He might not notice it, especially if you're not using scope shots, because a scope shot leaves that trace down your shot, which ultimately is a line drawn that says, hey, Anna's at the end of this line, kind of a thing. So sometimes doing hip fire shots is your stealthy option to kind of stay out of sight, out of mind. So if you're kind of hanging back and being a little bit harder to find, that Doomfist might not be targeting you as much as he's doing right now. Okay, this is the time. This is a good Ramatra ult, and this is one where you start to pump this Ramatra with everything you got. If you got a healing nade, you heal him with it. If there's sleeps around him, I should say, if you got your sleep dart and somebody tries to evacuate away from him, temporarily stun him to keep him there a little bit longer. Otherwise, just pump him full of heals and keep your distance from anybody running in the opposite direction. That just happens to be where you are. Yeah, so you got pushed back there.
2-minute warning. 2 minutes.
So
2-minute warning.
Okay, Ramatra ults, right? Use the robot for cover here, because you're a little far forward. Like, playing back here would have been a little bit better, but because you're where you're at, play like use the robot and the barrier as cover. I do that quite a bit when I play other heroes. That would have bought you space, and you'd have still been able to heal the Ramatra. You can poke around here or poke around there, that kind of a thing. The way you play your positioning with Ana, I feel like Lucio would be second nature to you, at least in terms of your positioning. Because where you're playing, I feel like that's where I would be a lot of times, as a Lucio. Or a Brig, if you can make Brig work, but...
have taken the robot.
30 seconds remaining.
Covering you.
Thank you for the assistance.
So just, you know, work on your aim and your reaction time to some of your shots there. I would have liked to have seen at least one of those hit the Lucio. You're moving a little too far up again, and don't be afraid. Like, you weren't afraid to take a scope shot on the Lucio, but you're not doing it to the Ramatra, and you're missing those shots. So, you know, it's fine to use scope shots to heal too. It's not, you know, you're not going to get docked VOD review points for, you know, using your scope to heal people. So the thing with Ana is that you land your shots. It's not so much about how you land them. You know, what I was saying about, like, using the scope shot and it leaves that tracer and all that, like, that's a little bit more on the advanced side when you need to be, you know, stay on the robot, stay on the robot. Yeah, careful there. That would have been one time where I would say, if you got a front line to stay on the robot, you know, so be it. Because at this point now we're at crunch time. Now it's, you know, live or die, be on the robot. But anyway. That Echo should be able to contest that Reaper, hopefully. Okay, so I like the positioning here. Stay up here until they leave the robot, and then... Okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. That works. Oh, you guys got off. Wait, what? What happened? They all went to peel for you and they got off the robot. Yikes. Okay. So, yeah. Alright. So, number one, I'm just going to say, your sensitivity felt high to me. It's either going to take a lot of getting used to, and you're going to have to one-trick Ana for a bit to get used to that, or I would consider just bringing that down a bit until you start finding your comfort zone. That felt very sensitive to me, though. Number two, your positioning felt like you were playing really far forward. You were in a position to brawl a lot of your times, and because you're in a position to brawl, remember, you're playing a sniper. Snipers aren't brawlers. That's more for the Moiras, the Briggs, and the Lucios, and the Kirikos. So if you feel like that positioning is your comfort zone, those four heroes I just rattled off, that might be a little bit more up your alley. Otherwise, hopefully you take some of those positions that I pointed out to you to heart, and you maybe start, you know, using some of those to your advantage in future games. But yeah, it felt like you weren't really sure where to be as Ana in a lot of those. And then number three, I think what I would go with is just aim. You were missing shots that I would kind of expect a Plat player to be able to hit. Like when I called out, like you took those two shots toward the end at that Lucio and you missed both of them. And then you took two hip fire shots at the Ramatra and missed both of those. You gotta, like, again, regardless of if you're scoped in or if you're hip firing, Doesn't matter as long as the shots are hitting. You don't lose style points. You don't, the only disadvantage to using the scope is obviously one, you lose some mobility, but it shoots that trace down so that people might see that line and be like, okay, we kind of know where Anna is now. But at the rank you're at, I don't really see that as too big of a deal. And that really only plays a bigger part when you're kind of playing a little bit more further back and you're kind of hiding and ducking in and out and trying to be harder to find and see, that kind of a thing. That sort of matters a bit more. But in the case of most of what I saw in this game, I think it would have just been more valuable to just be able to hit the shots that you were taking, and the aim wasn't quite there. And I think some of that kind of comes back to these other 2 points. Like if your positioning were a little bit better, maybe there's a little less chaos going around you, and you feel a little bit more calm and at peace to focus on your shots. And if maybe you adjust your sensitivity a little bit, you might get into a little bit more of a flow and a rhythm to your aim. So I hope this VOD was helpful to you. Thank you for submitting this VOD review to me directly. Appreciate you guys watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.